All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for Cafecito and Conversation this morning. The last day of September, fall has begun. It is Hispanic Heritage Month. There's a lot going on, schools opening, maybe, I don't know, restaurants opening, maybe, I don't know. So everything's a little crazy right now, but one thing you can count on is this great event every week, and that we are always happy to share information, and our partners are always thrilled to get updates from everyone that's happy to share. So again, my name's Allie Bibo. I think I know pretty much everyone on the call, and I wish I could give you a big hug this morning, but since I can't, it's my pleasure to see you here. And one of my favorite groups to work with at the CVB is the Multicultural Tourism Development Department, led by Connie Kennard, and she and her team have put together a fantastic panel this morning featuring some of our community's iconic event leaders, community leaders, and some newer organizations that we want to be able to share updates and hopefully make connections with you as partners. So again, as I mentioned, this is going to be recorded and shared on our event page. We're going to use the chat as a way to help you connect with each other, so feel free to share your information and also use it to ask questions. So I know we're going to have some questions posed to the panelists, which they'll answer, but towards the end, any questions that you may have, you can throw up on the chat, and around 10:50 we'll get to those questions and try to get to all of those great answers that I know we have. So without further ado, it is very much my pleasure to pass the mic to Ms. Connie Kennard, who hails from Nashville, and but is now finds her fabulous home in our amazing Miami. So Connie, we're so glad to have you part of our community now. Welcome and thank you.
Well, thank you. So to that point, our Multicultural Tourism and Development Department really has been established about 5 years. The GMCVB has done great work throughout its tenure in our multicultural area. But Allie mentioned Nashville. 5 years ago, I moved here to Miami to head up this multicultural department, and it has been great. For those of you that are not familiar with our general mission, I want to read it to you. And it's to ensure that the diversity of Miami's multicultural communities, attractions, and events are promoted by working locally to build consistency and economic sustainability, broadening the scope of initiatives and maximizing marketing opportunities. And so that's what we do. We work totally, we're a GMCVB department, but we work with all the departments to make sure that there's a heritage footprint on everything that we do. And so we're excited. It's Hispanic Heritage Month, and before, when we were on the pre-call, yes, it's Hispanic Heritage Month, and this is a month that the world does elevate and celebrate Hispanic heritage all over. But we know in Miami, Hispanic heritage is 365, and it is definitely a deep part of the fabric of Miami. So at this time, I just want to recognize our team. We have a team of 4, myself to include Petra Brennan, who is on here, our Director of Tourism Business Enhancement, and she works with some of the businesses in the communities to help build capacity, our Art of Black program and other things. Herlinda Lombardi in our office is the glue that keeps it together. Hopefully all of you all on our great newsletter. If you're not, we want to get you on that to kind of keep up with some of the things that we're doing at the GMCVB. And last but not least, your moderator and facilitator for this panel is Pam Payano. She is our Senior Manager of Program Development, who is doing a great job and bringing together some of the programs that you'll see. I know that she's going to talk about a few of them for Hispanic Heritage Month, but she definitely helps us with that year-round. So at this point, Pam, take it away.
Thank you so much, Connie. And thank you, everyone. Good morning for joining. And thank you for joining us this morning. In celebration of Hispanic Heritage, we really wanted to do something to connect with the community. And typically we host a community tour that is open to the public, where we invite anyone who receives our newsletters or our mailings to come and explore some of the heritage neighborhoods and get to know some of the history behind the Hispanic heritage that is so diverse throughout our community. So this morning, we'll be discussing how to elevate the visibility of those diverse businesses, neighborhoods, and events that make up that cultural fabric of Miami. But before we dive into the questions, I'd like to give our panelists a few minutes to introduce themselves and a little bit about about the organizations that they represent. So why don't we take it away with the twins, Yvonne and Yvette Rodriguez?
Hi, good morning. Can I start, Yvonne? Thank you so much for having me on here today. This is amazing. Thank you so much, Pam. Wonderful. My name is Yvette Rodriguez, owner of Tereslina Cubana Cigars, and one of the founders of the Afro-Latino Professionals Group, and also Wire Public Relations. I always got to throw all my businesses in there. And, you know, Miami, born and raised, Cuban-American, Afro-Cuban, and, you know, just making our way out here, you know. Happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvette. My name is Yvonne Rodriguez, also co-owner of Tereslina Cubana Cigars, based here in Miami, the first Black woman-owned, Afro-Latino-owned cigar brand in the nation. So we're happy to represent for Miami. And with that said, it is our duty to represent the Afro-Latino professionals here in Miami, because there are many of us, and we do need to unite a little more because it helps out with networking and everything like that. And it has been working, and I'm just happy to hopefully partner with you guys in the future, and I'm very happy to be invited to this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Maite Jacome from Little Havana. Kiwanis of Little Havana, sorry.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Maite Jacome. I'm the Sponsor Relations Manager at the Kiwanis Little Havana. For those who may be unfamiliar, the Kiwanis Little Havana is a civic service organization that has been serving the Miami area for 45 years. And about 43 years ago, the leadership decided to have this great idea of starting a block party to celebrate the growing Cuban community, and Open House 8 started 43 years ago at what is now known as the world famous Kaiocho Festival. And unfortunately, due to COVID this year, we had to cancel the event a week before scheduled. But thankfully, we've been able to work with amazing partners and artists who have been altruistic and given their time, and we're gonna do a Kaiocho live virtual event this Sunday, October 4th at 3 p.m. And we'll be able to talk more about that in a little bit.
Did you want to share your video?
Oh yes, I could share my video now. It's in Spanish.
Hispanic
El
Heritage.
4 de octubre llega el espectáculo virtual del año, Calle 8 Live, celebrando el mes de la hispanidad con más de 60 estrellas de la música latina: Gloria Estefan, Fonseca, Camilo, Ivy Queen y los Reyes del Carnaval Miami 2020, Mau y Ricky. Además, duetos musicales, celebridades, concurso de baile, deliciosas recetas, mixología y el preestreno del show de Nickelodeon para preescolares, Santiago of the Seas. Calle 8 Live, 4 de octubre. Conéctate en calle8live.com, patrocinado por...
And if you saw the video, it said 7 p.m. We actually just made a change today due to the Heat game. So it's going to be starting at 3 p.m. So this is going to be the perfect pre-show for the game 3 on Sunday.
Oh, wonderful. Great. Pat Gajardo, the Allapattah Neighborhood Association.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Patrick Gajardo. I'm a co-founder and president of the Allapattah Neighborhood Association. Born and raised here in Allapattah, been here over 45 years, and I love Allapattah.
I need that shirt.
Like that.
Thank you, Pat. Herb Sosa with Unity Coalition.
Good morning. Thank you for having us, or having me. My name is Herb Sosa. I'm the director of Unity Coalition, Coalición Unida. Since 2002, we've been Hispanic, Latinx, and Indigenous LGBT pride and equality and fairness through our programming, through our just outreach throughout the community. And one of the things that I'm thrilled to talk about today is our 10th anniversary of Unity Coalition's Celebrate Orgullo, which is Hispanic and Indigenous LGBT Pride Festival. We went from a one-day festival to a whopping 15 days. And as Maite said, we had to reinvent ourselves, as most everybody here. And we're going to be starting our virtual Celebrate Orgullo tomorrow, October 1st through the 15th. So I got my maraca ready. I got my coffee ready. We got our masks ready. We're ready to go. So thank you for having us. And Pam, if I could show a quick video. Okay, I'll do that.
Great. Thank you so much, Herb. And I'm excited to check out the festival.
Thank you. We're excited as well.
And our last panelist was certainly not least, Mr. Bill Fuller from Barlington Group and Mad Room Hospitality. Bill? Is he no longer here?
Well, I just saw he was there. I asked him to unmute and then it scared him away. I think he fell off the call somehow. Hopefully he'll jump back in. I think most of us know Bill Fuller. Maybe you could give a quick.
Sure. So Bill is one of our biggest developers in Little Havana. He works with Ball and Chain, Los Altos, and various different establishments throughout. So we wanted to include him as a representative of Little Havana as well. Hopefully he'll join back in on the call, but we'll get started with some questions. So this question is for all of the panelists that are joining us this morning. Let's talk about the communities that you represent and how Miami's diverse Hispanic culture is represented throughout the neighborhood developments, new businesses, and celebrations that you work with. Can you share a little bit about how you're keeping those Hispanic traditions alive throughout all of your programming?
Well, for the Kiwanis Little Havana, our main fundraiser is the Kaiocho Festival. So we knew that we wanted to do it again. We wanted to do it for 2020, even despite the environment that we're living in this year. So we decided to reach out to our partners. We decided to reach out to the Greater Miami Conventions Visitors Bureau and see how we could do this to showcase not only Hispanic heritage, but our beautiful city. And we're actually working with media partners in different Hispanic markets, Chicago, New York, and LA. So they're gonna be seeing, this show, and they're gonna be seeing this Hispanic festival and our city being showcased. And it's just reaching out to different communities outside of our areas to, come together and celebrate.
Herb, I think I saw you wanted to say something as well.
Yes. How are you? Yeah, like everybody else, we've had to reinvent ourselves. Okay, we've had to reinvent ourselves this year, and canceling Celebrate Orgullo was not an option for us as well. We felt that with the insanity that 2020 has been so far, we're not done, that we just had a responsibility to the community to create some sense of normalcy, if you will. So we've done that through a variety of ways. We started with a wonderful partnership with the Bureau, which was our mask campaign. And we partnered with Outfront Media and with the Bureau and a variety of other community partners to just get the message out of put your darn mask on, ponte la ya. And we've created quite a frenzy with it, and we've also tried to make it fun. We've incorporated a People's Choice Award into our annual Legends Honors Award, which always honors the biggest and greatest allies, if you will, for the LGBT and Hispanic community of South Florida. So, you know, we're encouraging people to vote for their favorite image of individuals putting masks on. And there's a few of you from the Bureau that are in there. So today's the last day to vote. But again, with Celebrate Orgullo, you know, we've got 15 days of virtual tours. You know, we've had to reinvent our Art Diva bus tour and go from having a drag queen and alcohol and food on a bus and taking them to an art destination. And how do you reinvent that and still make it exciting? Well, we're going to try and hopefully tune in the next 15 days to see if it worked. We have a night of 1,000 stars where we have literally 40 something performers and groups from around the globe. So if anything, I could kind of leave you with the reality of reinventing an event during COVID is it's actually as limiting as it has been. It's also given us an opportunity to reach out beyond our shores, if you will, where budgets may not have allowed us to bring in, let's say, Jalisco's Diverso, which is an LGBT indigenous group out of Mexico, 40 something performers. That would be a tough, you know, bill for anybody to take on, certainly for Orgullo. We could do it virtually. So, you know, you do the best that you can and just move forward with the event. It was important for us to celebrate our 10th anniversary and do that with our community. So that's what we're trying to do.
Well, and to piggyback actually on your point, Herb and Maite as well, I know you've had to reschedule events and have considered modifications to the events themselves.
Yep.
So how are you keeping communications with the communities that you represent active and ensuring that the heritage organizations are being contacted and included
Sure.
continuously?
Maite?
Well, we've been staying active on social media, reaching out with other associations and community partners throughout this whole process. The Kiwanis Little Havana, aside from being an event organizer, we're also a nonprofit organization that gives back to the community. So staying in touch with those families throughout this whole process in the community and just making sure, touching base that they're doing okay, what they need, and making sure that, you know, this community organization that, yes, we organize a big party, we also are there for them during this time.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more with Maite. Same thing here. We're a nonprofit that also puts on events and programming. And, you know, respectfully, the transition hasn't really been a transition for us either. We've been very involved in social media all along. It's the lifeblood of the reality of doing business in, you know, in current times, not just during COVID, but just in general. We've also put together a variety of food drives. We did one with Kiwanis. We've done several throughout the community, and all kinds of media really are important, you know. And we've entered that realm several years ago. Not just during COVID, but you know, print is important, radio, TV is important, but social media and a variety of social media are important. And you need to be able to know who your audience is, how they communicate, and how to best reach them. It's not a one size fits all. So, you know, it's important to do that. That's just part of doing business, we believe, as a nonprofit or as an event organizer in the world that we live in today.
That's very true. I mean, we have to stay, change is the only constant, right?
Absolutely.
Well, flipping it out of the events-driven world, this question is more for you, Patrick. You exist to serve the needs of your community through residents and small business owners. How are you able to bring those two needs together to create that sense of community through your association?
Back in 2016, me and a childhood friend decided to start a neighborhood association. We did it for a few reasons, mainly because we didn't feel our community had a voice and wanted to form our group in hopes of being the conduit between our community members and local officials. Our fear was that what happened in Wynwood would eventually happen to us. We didn't want to lose the fabric or cultural identity of the Allapattah community. We want to make sure our residents and small local businesses aren't being displaced because of big development. If you're familiar with Allapattah, you'll know that a big part of what Allapattah is our vibrant Hispanic community. Whether it's Dominican barbershops, Cuban restaurants, you know, Central American bodegas, you know, it's something that we want to ensure that doesn't get lost in everything that's going on throughout the city.
Sorry, I keep muting myself to not interrupt you guys, and then I forget that I'm on mute. But no, it's very true that cultural diversity of Allapattah is very important, which actually, this is working out great because you guys are all going into my next question, so this is perfect. My next question is for the twins, Yvette and Yvonne. Talk to us about some of the gaps or needs in the Afro-Latino community in being included in Hispanic heritage celebrations, much to Patrick's point of the different diversities and that melting pot. How do you work with that through Afro-Latino professionals?
Well, if I can first, let me speak first. Well, let me continue. With the Afro-Latino professionals, again, and this has branched off, and thankfully it's grown its own wings and everything from our business, our cigar business, because we are Afro-Latino, and we've been, throughout the years with our business, a part of it has been receiving a lot of media coverage because we are Afro-Latino business owners in the cigar industry. And whenever a Cuba issue arises, they would contact us. And they would always ask, where are the Black Latinos in Miami? And it's like, we're all over, you know? But it seems as if they can't find us, or they don't want to find us, you know? And it shows in programming, it shows in cultural events also, it shows across the board. And we decided, you know, to take it upon ourselves to create the Afro-Latino professionals. It's just a network, a loosely formed network where it consists of professors, lawyers, nurses, performers, local performers, musicians. It's like a database for us to be able to network or to even promote somebody's event that's going on. And that has also helped now during the pandemic, because a lot of our members and people that participate with us, they have online dance instruction going on. They have live DJ sets going on. They have discussions on what's going on possibly in the Cuban community, especially not politically. And I think that it has been to our benefit to form that group and to let it, you know, organically it has grown. And, you know, of course, everybody's taking a hit right now because of the quarantine and because of the COVID. But I do feel that there has been, you know, the silver lining has been that we are connecting more, we are communicating more. You know, there is not much loud music around us for, you know, for us to speak clearly and what we would like from one another and what we expect from one another. So we continue, and I'm happy to connect with you guys. And as far as the Allapattah Neighborhood Association, I would love to connect with you. We're on the same page.
No, there's a silver lining, you know, with all this, you know, stuff that's going on. If it's not the COVID, it's everything else. But like Maestro was saying, yeah, that's why we created the Afro-Latino professionals and social media, like Maite and her were saying, that's, you know, big, you know, we share their event, like their online virtual, whatever events that they're having going on, their projects, any articles. Social media is, you know, king at the moment, and we appreciate it. We appreciate you guys too, Pam.
No, we appreciate you guys, of course. And we're really excited that we're able to include, you know, Afro-Latinos professional and just kind of the different facets. One of our goals with this panel was to make sure that it wasn't all your cookie cutter Hispanic heritage kind of organization. So we wanted to make sure we had Herbs, who are the Unity Coalition, and Orgullo, you ladies with Afro-Latino, Pat with Allapattah. Like we wanted to make sure that we covered a little bit from everyone, everywhere, and made it as inclusive as possible, especially in this virtual setting. We have such a farther reach and are able to connect with so many more people and enforce that diversity. So we're really excited that you guys were all able to be part of today's conversation. So actually, again, you guys are doing great in piggybacking my questions here. But with COVID-19 and everything that we've seen this year, with all the racial injustices in the world, and this is happening, this question is for all the panelists, but with COVID and racial injustices and the separation of families that are sweeping our country, the Hispanic community has faced, you know, some unique challenges. How have you seen this manifested through Miami small business communities, and how, you know, are there any solutions that you see moving forward. Go ahead, Pat.
I think, unfortunately, the social issues that our community has faced and is facing has been around for a long time. So sadly, I think a lot of people in this community, being that we're a community that is highly populated with Black and brown people, we've, sadly, it seems like we've become immune to some of the social injustices. Now, as far as the COVID-19 pandemic, that pandemic saw no color. It affected us all the same way, whether you're white, Black, brown, from different parts of the world. Everyone was affected the same way. I think the biggest thing, to piggyback on what some of the other panelists mentioned, was social media. I think through social media, it's brought the community together. I think we're communicating better. I think we're making an emphasis on supporting local businesses, supporting local restaurants, and thankfully with the new restrictions being lifted, I think we can continue to encourage our residents to support local businesses.
If I could add to what Pat was saying, that I feel that obviously the COVID has done its number, has been very interesting, and the racial tension that's going on. What I do see that has sprung from that is a more educated consumer on where they want to spend their money, on their I feel that, and that's coming from my end, that we don't own a brick and mortar, but we are, we have a production company, we sell, if it's not online, it's at cigar shops and stuff like that. But we've noticed that the consumer is becoming a lot more conscious on where they're spending their money, and whether it's here in Miami or because we work nationwide, they are asking a lot different questions. They want to know, and I don't mean politically. I just mean, that they're demanding inclusion in certain businesses where there should be inclusion. So I think that's a silver lining, because every business can evolve and can, if the bottom line is money and profit, so then I really do think that this is a time for businesses, small businesses also, to evolve and to become a little possibly more inviting to other cultures. Everybody's bringing in money, so they could only be to our benefit.
Herb?
Yeah, I think it's also really important, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, but we're not one size fits all as well. Hispanic heritage, as you all said very eloquently, we celebrate it 365 days a year. It's not a celebration, it's who we are. It's what we do every single day. But with that comes responsibility. And unfortunately, going back, I'm going to touch on media for a second. A few years back, I used to own a brick and mortar, 3 shops actually, called Babalu. And it was fascinating to me how, yeah, I have a brain and I have an opinion, but whenever something happened anywhere in the Hispanic world, whenever Fidel was killed for the 20th time, or when Brothers to the Rescue planes were shot down, CNN would show up at my store. And I was flattered, but their responsibility comes with that, to be able to speak on issues in an educated way, in a respectful way, and also be involved. Social issues and racial issues that are going on affect every single one of us. That was one of the founding issues for Unity Coalition. It was not about LGBT rights, it was about equality. It was about every single one of us knows what discrimination is, and knows what being singled out not in a good way is. And I think that how we express that through our businesses, through social media, through just the responsibility of stepping up and speaking, even if it doesn't affect you directly. Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of divide in our Hispanic community in South Florida with the racial issues, with political issues, obviously. And I think that the more of us, putting us in an us and them category, which I hate to do, but the more of us that have hopefully a differing opinion, or a more sane opinion, or a calmer approach to things, It's important to show that through your business, through your social media, through just representation, really just representation.
And Bill, I saw that you were able to jump back on. Do you have any thoughts to add to that? I can repeat the question. I'm not sure.
Yes, I'm sorry. I apologize. I had to put out a small fire there. I'm greatly sorry. I appreciate it. Good morning to everyone. I just want to say that Connie, I think, has the best background. I'm biased to that, Futurama. And a good morning and a shout out to Laura Bruni. I know I heard she was on the call earlier. And to the fellow panelists and moderator, thank you for having me. The question, I'm sorry.
Well, actually, you can go into the next question. It's specifically for you, Bill. Your developments throughout Little Havana have elevated tourism driven into the community. What are some ways that you're able to showcase culture through these businesses and keep that heritage alive throughout Little Havana?
Yeah, I mean, everything that we do to drive visitors to Little Havana, whether it's local or national or international, is all based on the culture. It's all based on driving people to appreciate the culinary, the art, the music, the dance, the people, like the neighborhood. Like that's what we show off. That's what we're so proud of. We have maintained for a long time that we are not trying to build the Epcot version of what people would expect when they come, even though it's amazing to see that a lot of times the visitors that we have show up with a fedora in hand and a cigar in their and their guayabera, and they're holding a mojito already. But the reality is that Little Havana has maintained, even through the Kaiocho Renaissance, has maintained its true spirit. It's still a working class neighborhood. People just right off the edge of it continue to walk into the plaza, and it's the real deal. And that's what we love about it, is that it's not manuscripted. It's you're not getting the Little Havana and Kaiocho that you had in the 1960s. Neither are you getting the one that you had in the 1980s. Like, it continues to evolve as we continue to accept and new generations and new ethnicities come into the fold, evolving community. And so all we do is celebrate the culture. That's what every one of either the businesses or the organizers or the ambassadors of our neighborhoods are doing, is that they are promoting and cherishing and enlightening everybody with the best that we have. And it's just such an awesome place.
Great. I agree. I love Little Havana. There's so much to do. And actually, we were able to, I think our community tour last year started in Little Havana with a walking tour. And there's so much history there to share. We also went to Allapattah as well. So, you know, we always try to connect those dots. This is another question for all of the panelists. What is a stereotype that you would like to debunk in the Hispanic culture, or what is a quality that you would want to elevate that is consistent in the Hispanic culture? Go ahead, Yvette.
I'd like to debunk, you know, that all Latinos are white. I mean, I don't know if it's a stereotype or what, but, you know, just to get, and to tell you the truth, I'm putting it on my back. You know what I mean? Like, as far as like Afro-Latinos, we do exist, and we contribute greatly to our communities and to society, doing amazing things. So, and it's almost like, I don't know who mentioned, I think Herb earlier was mentioning that, yeah, we're Hispanic 365, you know what I mean? But I think that sometimes it's so natural, like it's our natural way of being, but we have to, like, you know, I'm representing Afro-Latinos, we got to start like bragging a little bit more about what we're doing, apparently. You know what I mean? Like, we use the media a lot, you know what I mean? The media loves us. We contribute, you know, we're that magic, you know, we contribute greatly, greatly, greatly. And, you know, like we said, like my sister said earlier, that if they can't, I mean, I've heard that they've been like celebrations or whatever, like panels even, where they're probably speaking about something about Afro-Latinos, and there's not an Afro-Latino on the panel. And it's like, no, not anymore. You know what I mean? Like we have this organization, now if they can't find an Afro-Latino or whatever it is, you know, like they didn't do the research or whatever it is, but like we got to put it on our own backs just to like put ourselves out there more. And if we're not being included, then we just got to create our own, you know what I mean? Create our own, and, you know, that's the only way. But, you know, that's one thing that I like to, you know, debunk as far as like stereotype, but it's happening, it's working.
Thank you, Yvette. Herb?
Yeah, to piggyback on that, I mean, it's kind of what I was saying before. You know, we have the platform now, we have the visibility. I mean, Bill mentioned it, Yvette mentioned, we've all mentioned it. What you do with that is on us now, you know, to show that diversity, to show that, you know, again, when I used to have my shop, honest to God, the only Cubans that tourists knew were Ricky Ricardo and Gloria Estefan. And that was it, you know, and it's up to us to break out of that stereotype when we have the platform, when the cameras are there, when the, you know, customers are there, to show the diversity, to show that, yeah, we come in all colors and sizes and different opinions and different, you know, a lot unites us. Language unites us, some culture unites us, but it's our opportunity to show all the different diversity. The Dominican, you know, Colombian, Cuban, Puerto Rican, you name it. You know, that's on us. That's on us, because then if we don't have that opportunity and we don't run with it, then we're kind of guilty of our own, putting ourselves in our own little box.
Pat?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's debunking a stereotype or not, but something that I'd like to see change, or I'd like to feel more inclusive into the American culture. I mean, as a Latino, born in this country, and just because my family speaks a second language doesn't mean I'm less of an American of another person. And I think that's something that needs to change. I think there are plenty of Hispanics out there that were born here that want to be embraced, that want to embrace the American culture as well as their homeland culture, you know. So I think that's something that I'd like to see change.
You don't have to give up one for the other.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to, you know, after everyone that has said, you know, just show that diversity of Miami. Miami is very diverse. There's, especially within the Hispanic community. We have Venezuelans, Colombians, Dominicans. It's not just Cubans anymore, and it hasn't been in a long time. So it's just showcasing the diversity of even within the Hispanic community to outside of, you know, Miami.
Great, thank you all. And I completely agree with you all. I think, not that I'm a panelist, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that one thing that I would love to elevate about the Hispanic culture is definitely our perseverance, especially when you see it through immigration and through our immigrant community. You know, my family themselves, we came to the United States some 20 odd years ago, and it's such an honor to be able to speak with my local community now about celebrating Hispanic heritage. And even my dad is on the call this morning, so I'm very proud of that. But, you know, just being able to showcase how far you've come, your parents take that leap, or your family takes that leap into being accepted into a new culture, and elevating the heritage and keeping that culture alive, I think is very important. So I want to say again, thank you to everyone for joining us this morning. So before we go into a Q&A, I wanted to ask one more question, and I think all of you will take a few minutes to answer this. In a perfect world, what would you like to see happen in Miami around Hispanic cultures, businesses, and communities? Who wants to go first?
In a perfect world, if I could say, I truly believe that, and it's particularly in Miami, that we can go beyond the confines of Hispanic Heritage Month. You know, it can be a constant celebration of the different Latino cultures, because just like a lot of everyone has mentioned, there are a lot of layers to the Latino culture, especially here in Miami, that we could showcase year round. You know, I do believe that a lot lot of tourists, although, you know, everybody wants a party, of course, and everybody, you know, I'm deserving of a party too, but there are a lot of people that want to be culturally stimulated, you know, through education, through not the typical entertainment, that I think everybody that's on the panel that's what we are offering. That's what everybody's offering. So I don't think that it should be limited to Hispanic Heritage Month, although that's a great start, of course. But I really do think that Miami, you know, forget about it. You know, we are the gift. These cultures are a gift. Look at the Miami Heat, where people with pots and pans outside. We are authentic, you know. You know, for everything, we are authentic. So it's like we could brag about it a little more than we do, and not just the Cuban culture. You know, there are a lot of other, you know, Hispanic cultures, Caribbean in general, but as far as Latino cultures, that we're constantly celebrating. There's always, if it's not a carnival, there's a Cafecito, I don't know what, or there's a, you know, Independence Day. You know, we could really take advantage of all that. I do.
Thank you, Ron. Herb?
Yeah, you know, what I'd like to see, and I think the responsibilities on both sides, you know, to echo what Pat had said before, you know, you can be very successfully, most of us are, you know, more than one culture and more than one heritage, and embrace all of that. You know, I can be as, you know, Latino and you know, go on in Spanish as I can in English, and I'm not going anywhere. This is where I'm from. I'm more than a photo op. I'm more than a fetish. I'm more than a 1-month festival. You know, we own businesses here. We live here. We're invested here. But I think also, you know, in fairness, and a lot of it has to do obviously with politics and where we all come from. I think there's also a responsibility with Latinos and Hispanics to plant roots here and to understand your place in Miami as well. And that's true for almost every one of our groups. You know, we're here, you know, and now our kids are being born here and grandkids, and we are a part of Miami. We're not just visiting here. And again, we're not just a photo op, or we're not one little strip of a street to come and have a drink and go home with your pictures. You know, we're a rich, vibrant culture, and we're American, and we're part of all of this. And we can do all of that and still embrace our Latinism, our Hispanic culture, and everything else. So I think it's a two-way street. I think we have the responsibility to show that our depth, if you will, as a culture, but also not be apologetic about it, not be forgiving. We have collectively grown Miami to what it is today. You know, that's not ego, that's a fact. You know, our Hispanic culture has had a lot to do with who Miami is today on the on a global level. Let's embrace that. Don't apologize for it. You know, not just be the crazy people on TV or on the news. You know, let's show the rich, vibrant seriousness, if you will, of our culture and our communities.
Thank you, Herb. I completely agree with everything. Bill?
Yeah, well, one, I just want to preface by saying, for those of you that don't know, I actually have Latin heritage. My mom was born in Havana, came here as a Peter Pan, and my father was an American family whose grandparents moved in 1901. He was born in Holguin. So a gringo doesn't just show up in Kaiocho for nothing. For me, my Hispanic heritage is very important. It was one of the reasons why I wanted to focus so much on that neighborhood, because I felt that it, for so long, it had been disserviced and it wasn't representing the best. But I acknowledge today, even though I have Cuban heritage, that it is the melting pot of Hispanic, all ethnicities heritage in Miami. It's a great beacon for us to be able to showcase everything. And I'm at a little bit of a loss for words here today, because the reality is that I don't promote gringos. We only promote everything Latin in Kaiocho and Little Havana. That's just the way it is. It's like, matter of fact, if it's gringo, it almost doesn't fit in Kaiocho in Little Havana. And you know, it's just a way of life that and we love it. And that's why I love spending time there. And I think it's the attractiveness for everybody that either offices there or hangs out there or goes, you know, gets lunch or goes out to the galleries, or even, and even not on Kaiocho, even in the small businesses, there's so many amazing small service businesses all throughout Little Havana, Flagler, the avenues that are just awesome. They're just really great places to go in and check out. And so I didn't answer the last question, but I do want to mention something that is in a little bit of the spirit of the last question that you asked. The one thing that I would say that I've noticed, especially in the Cuban community, and it would not surprise me if it continues to go into the other Latin communities, is that I often hear from the older Cubans, my mom's generation, I'm not pointing this on my mom at all, but I often hear from my mom's generation that the new Cubans are not the way the old Cubans were, okay? Like, it's a totally different thing. And like, I just want to make sure that it's our responsibility, I feel like, because I grew up in going to a public school, Miami-Dade, and to me, and my children are the same way. Everybody's the same to me. I don't care if you have money, you don't have money. Like, if I see you, like, I treat you with the same respect, and that you have to give me and I give you. That's the way I see it, as blind. But I just feel that as Latins become more entrenched in the society and more Americanized, let's not forget where we all came from and how we fought, and let's not disrespect and leave behind the new generation that continues to come in, because that is really what is so magical about Miami, is this fresh energy constantly coming in and evolving with the city.
Thank you so much.
I agree completely.
Go ahead, go. Yvonne, you wanted to say something? I cut you off, I'm sorry.
No, I agree completely with what he's saying. That is, I feel, a downfall of the that gives a bad rep. If we're speaking about Cubans, that gives a bad rep, and that's heard around the nation, you know, and that's heard with tourists also. That you know, they'll mention it. They'll mention, as far as if we're talking about Cubans in particular. Again, the older Cubans are different from the new Cubans, or someone that has someone come in out of town and they'll recommend something. Yeah, this will be better than this other spot because there's too many, you know, newer Cubans, you know, that just got here. We divide our, you know, within our own also. That is something, you know, I mean, I've been saying it forever, that it has to stop, but, you know, that comes from within, you know. But it's good because, and I do understand, because a lot of these organizations also, that they have a long-standing tradition also, that it may not be welcoming to newer generations that come in and to new immigrants. That I think that that's something that we also have to evolve to at least look more inclusive, so then they feel comfortable attending these events.
Pat?
I'd like to piggyback on that. The scary part is this: it's a cross-cultural issue. It's not only within Cubans; it's within our Latin community. My parents are of Honduran descent, so you know, a lot of times, you know, you hear one person from one country say, "Oh, I don't want to go to that restaurant because, you know, let's say I don't want to go to a Cuban restaurant because it's too loud," or I don't like the food of the Dominicans, or I don't like the food of you know, I don't like the music they play at that Honduran restaurant. I think the scary part is that once all Hispanics really start coming together, I think that's when us as a Hispanic society are really going to flourish.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think there's a lot of division between different cultures. So I think we need to unify and celebrate each other, because all those cultures are so important and so beautiful, and it's important to celebrate one another. I saw that we have, I know we're running a little short on time, and I saw the two questions in our chat were more catered towards a virtual event. So I'm just gonna ask them as one, and if you have any reply to it, go ahead. So the questions that we have are: what are your suggestions for virtual events programming celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month? And what are virtual tools that are suggested to promote Miami's Hispanic heritage culture? Herb?
Well, seeing that my virtual event starts tomorrow for 15 days, I would be remiss to not promote días de arte, cultura, celebración, herencia, you name it. And it's across the board. It's all generations. It's all cultures that we try to make cohesive and pull together and celebrate. And, you know, not everything's for everybody, like anything else, but it doesn't have to be. But if you go to celebrateorgullo.com, you'll be able to see our 15 days of programming. It's all virtual, except our final event, which is a drive-in movie night. And there's going to be a Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau membership discount for that. Cars are usually $40 per person, as many people as you can legally get in a car. But for bureau members, it's $30. And I'm sure you can share more details on that. But you know, that's one way. That's one way that from the comfort of your home, you can experience other cultures. You can almost taste the food, because we go to several restaurants, and you have everything from Colombian food to Honduran to gator bites in the Everglades. You know, and movies and music, all of it. So that's a really easy way to start tomorrow, embracing different cultures at celebrateorgullo.com.
Maite?
Well, for Kaiocho, which is going to be on this Sunday, what we did is we wanted to make it more of a variety show, not just music, because music is a big important part of the culture, but also food. So we actually incorporate, with some of our partners, we're incorporating recipes that are being shared to the audience. And then there's going to be interactive throughout the program with the audience, that they could tune in and be part of the show. Our show, like I mentioned in the chat, is 70% pre-recorded and 30% live. And we're incorporating the live bits so that it feels completely live, even though it isn't. And that's just to minimize the risk of, you know, technical difficulties. And then we're actually, today we're announcing that we're going to be doing a Kaiocho 8K run starting October 15th through the 31st. So in addition to Sunday's celebration, we're going to be doing a virtual 8K run that the whole community can participate from the comfort of, you know, their neighborhood park or, you know, their community. So it's bringing that hybrid of being engaged and the audience with the virtual videos and virtual activations.
Great. So, well, you both spoke about food. So before I pass it over to Connie to close us out, I wanted to share that tomorrow we'll be hosting a Facebook Live event at Club Típico Dominicano. This is the oldest standing authentic Dominican restaurant in Miami. And the owner, Jasmeli de la Cruz, will be teaching us how to make mofongo. So please, I will share the link in the chat, but please join us at 5 p.m. on Facebook Live and learn how to make some yummy Dominican food. Connie, back to you.
Very good, very good. Thank you so much. Let me go ahead. Everybody raise your cup, your cafecito to Pam. Hey, great job moderating this panel. A lot of great information, and you might wonder how the conversation ties back into what we do at the Convention Bureau. We're in tourism, but definitely in everything that you said, we're listening to see how we can make sure that what we do in the tourism world also affects what our community needs and wants and desires as far as tourism. So we hear you. The good thing about these Zooms are that they're taped, so we can go back, listen to this, and then as we're thinking about programming in the future, we can keep you in mind. Of course, I see a lot of each of you on the panel we've worked with in some way, and I think Yvette and Yvonne, maybe we haven't worked with you yet, but we're looking forward to just building our full connection. So many people on here from our team, GMCVB. Of course, Allie's gonna say a last word when I finish partnership, the MTD team that I mentioned. Joe DeCal and Deborah Lee are on here. Some of you may not know, but we have travel industry sales. Joe works with the Latin American market, Deborah in the Caribbean market and travel industry sales. So we just want you to know that from an international level also, in addition to the multicultural team, in addition to what all departments do, we have salespeople and people that focus on the markets that are international as well. I think John Copeland's on here with our arts, Dan, of course, with the LGBTQ department, and so many others. If I miss you, GMCVB, put your information in the chat so that everybody can get it. But this has been a great session, and again, great information for us to take forward as we're thinking about programming and planning, and we celebrate Hispanic Heritage 365 for sure. Allie?
Well, thank you again, everyone on the multicultural team, for gathering the group today, and for all our panelists. And Pam, you're hired. You did a great job today, so I'll have you be my stand-in anytime. I did want to just give a few quick notes. We do have next week another coffee and conversation taking place from 10 to 11, and we're going to be doing highlights of what's new in downtown Miami, including the new development Nativo by Cervera Real Estate, which is a live, work, play type of experience. It's kind of a cohabitation, shopping, retail, shared workspace thing, also with a hotel, residential component as well. So I'm excited to hear about that. We'll also have our friends from the DDA sharing some updates on all of the other things that are coming to downtown or have recently come into position downtown. There's a lot going on at any given time all around our amazing county. So we're trying to get around. We did Coral Gables last week, do downtown next week, Allapattah. I'm coming next, okay? So anyway, I do want to just thank everyone for coming. Secret surprise, we're going to do our annual meeting as an in-person event. So we may have an opportunity to do some air hugs and some elbow bumping. We will be sending an invitation out hopefully later this week or early next week for October 21st. It will be safe and socially distanced. A variety of new things will be in place, but it of course will also remain as a virtual event from 10 to noon. So for those that prefer to enjoy the information that will be shared virtually, you can do that. And if you would like to get out and see the convention center, I don't think I said that, it will be at the Miami Beach Convention Center. We will be in their grand ballroom showcasing their very massive space that they have, and making sure that we have a safe event. And also, of course, reminding the world that we are a meetings destination, and we need to kind of paint the picture that we can have safe meetings and get that business rolling back into our hotels, because it is so important for all of our folks to just keep the money rolling, you know. Good luck for all of the events coming up this week and weekend. Kaiocho, Celebrate Orgullo. And with that, I will, if you want to unmute yourself and everyone just give a wave, a bye, anything you want to say. Go Marlins, yes. Go
And to the panelists, if any of you want to put your email in the chat or want to share any of your contact information, please feel free to do so. But thank you all so much for joining us today.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
For this platform. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great week.
Thanks,
Thank
Vanessa.
you.